Hello, it's Carrie here, and this is going to be for Liz's topic of the week, which is a letter to our former fat selves. I'm going to go ahead and join the Hot Mess Collective. I'm going to do this post a little bit differently, I think, than the others, because it kind of needs explaining. So I'll read you what I've got here, and then just explain what it's all about. I'm not sure how long I'm going to leave this video up for, but we'll see. So this is my letter. You don't have to accept your destiny, and you have to accept your destiny. Your physical destiny of obesity, diabetes, and early death is escapable. You do have a different destiny, and this will be revealed to you through an act of love by your eldest sister to somebody else. The sister who tormented me as a child. This act of love to someone else will be the key to revealing your own truth. And this will be the answer to all of the questions in your life. And the way you would truly get to change your physical destiny. You are not fat and ugly and have no friends, as she said to you so many times. You are healthy, beautiful, and different from most people. So to sort of explain what this means, as far as my biological destiny of dying at an early age due to comorbid conditions from obesity, it wasn't really the surgery that saved me, because I had surgery and then I got back to right where I started from. It was sort of something else, and that process of learning happened before this really pivotal thing that I learned about myself. And it's interesting because when I came back to the community, I got a chance to go up to Seattle and visit my girlfriend Wendy, who many of you guys know as Banded Wendy. And I was on my journey of losing my regain. I had, I was just about 3 months in, I think. And at the same time that I was visiting her in Seattle, my sister, my eldest sister, was just north of there, in the strait, just north of there in Vancouver, picking up her son that she adopted. It's about, oh my gosh, about a year and a half ago now, I think, a bit more than that. My sister adopted a little boy, and he was 3 years old at the time, and he was diagnosed with autism. This was around the time that I started posting to YouTube again, actually, on my channel. But my sister's son, who I got to meet almost right away because they came down after my grandfather passed away, and I had been here taking care of my grandfather. I felt like I had an instant connection with him. And sort of the same with him to me. And time went by, and because of him, last summer, I was watching a show on public television that was on autism called Autism Grows Up. And this particular episode was talking about adult females with Asperger's syndrome. And it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced in my life because as I was watching it, they were literally describing every single thing about not only my life, but the way that I experienced this world. And I was like really, it rattled me very, very badly. I was just, my hands started shaking, which is the thing. And I went online and started doing some research and some assessment tools. And it wasn't, you know, 6 out of 15 traits. It wasn't anything like that. It was like all of them. And I had never known that I experienced the world any different from anyone else. So this was like a major shock to my system. I mean, think of having like sensory processing issues your entire life and not even realizing that you experience any of those things different from anyone else. And it's like learning that the colors that you see are different from everybody. I tried getting some information on seeking a formal diagnosis. And was told that would probably cost me over $3,000. So that is not an option for me right now at all. But I don't need it to know and be secure in the fact that this is definitely real. I did tell a couple of my close friends, but I haven't really been out about it. In fact, it was one of Liz's videos that was like, what is the one thing that you realized was not due to your weight that may have caused you problems in the past? And that was the first time I actually wrote about it in any type of an open forum. So what does this all mean and why is it important? I have Asperger's, and basically my my brain development is different. I have much more connections in my brain, higher density of neurons. It means I'm a really good thinker. I'm a visual thinker. It might take longer for me to understand something, but when I understand it in a way that I think a lot of people don't. But it also means that when it comes to social stuff, I'm not so good. I've joined some of the groups online, and it's funny, particularly in the women's group. Somebody will write in and say something like, does anybody else experience this? And it's like everybody in the group, it's like on the same train of thought. And I recently wrote in that learning about myself has been really great because I always thought I was a square peg in a round hole, but now I know I'm a square peg in a square hole. And that I do fit in as far as who I am. And that's given me a really great sense of peace, and it sort of makes so many things that I have blamed myself for in my life make sense now. When I was younger, and still up to today, I had what I used to think were panic attacks. And I remember asking my doctor, I don't know why I'm hitting my head when I'm having this panic attack. and I'm not able to communicate when I'm in that state. It makes it very difficult. I cry, I hyperventilate. But it wasn't really this classic thing that you hear of like, oh, I felt like my heart was stopping, I'm going to die. But it was different. And I could never understand it. And then I saw a video on YouTube of a woman who was in the middle of meltdown, and it was like I was looking in the mirror. So changing the context of the understanding of that experience has put me in a place where I could actually work on things, because I could be a bit more mindful about it, because I understand what's going on and what may or may not help me. So it wasn't that I was fat and ugly and had no friends. I don't know why my sister used to say things like that to me. I don't know why. But just because somebody says something about you doesn't make it your truth. And in fact, it was her act of love and compassion for the little boy that she adopted that was able to help me understand me. I used to think that nobody liked me because I was fat and ugly. And I internalized that for almost my entire life. That I didn't have friends because I was fat and ugly. And I, just even today on the Asperger's group, like people saying, does anybody else have problems making friends? I've had problems my whole life. I can't make friends at school. I can't make friends at work. And that was very much my reality. And I thought it was because of that. And now that, and I used to always be confused because like in school, there was another girl who was much bigger than me. Like I wasn't really that big until all of the years of yo-yo dieting just kind of walked me all the way up to 300 pounds. And I couldn't understand why other people who were much bigger than me were like very popular in school. And I was always an outcast. And when I got thinner, that didn't change at all. That really didn't change at all. And I had a bit of a sort of like an existential crisis about it. Like what the hell is wrong with me? I just don't understand people. And in fact, it was that I don't understand people very well. Everybody in our community has very different experiences in life, I think. But we do have this common shared experience among us, and that's why we're all here, sort of. But the things that get revealed to you as your life sort of progresses along sometimes come out of left field. Like you really, I mean, I never would have imagined. And it, in a way, it's very liberating to me, because the thing that I couldn't understand was that why was I a different fat ugly person than the other people who didn't have a problem. And now I know, first of all, it didn't have anything to do with that at all. It has to do with that my mind works differently, and there's drawbacks, but there's also real advantages. And when I said that it was this thing that would be the key to liberating me from my physical destiny, that's how I did it. That's how I was able to get down to a normal weight, was by making food and nutrition my special interest and my hyper focus, and learning as much about it as possible and continuing to learn. And now I want to use that to help other people. And as difficult as everything may have been to go through, as difficult as being a chubby kid and being tormented and teased and having unfortunate social relationships with people who tried to use me, and that I couldn't see that, and not giving up on the fact that I still think people are good, and not letting it make me jaded. You know, I finally got to a place where I truly accept who I am, and I can celebrate it and be proud of who I am, and fully understand who I am. Yeah. Hope everybody's having a good week. Sorry if this was long. It is what it is. Anyhow.